yeah, I described the third picture where everyone unites themselves under one nation. And, I mean, the name says it, one nation. I mean, that's a plan of the New World Order, where there's just one. I mean, that's what I thought back then. I thought back then the New World Order is about one nation, one religion, one idol, one country whatsoever. And that's what I wrote as a footnote on the last picture. And I wrote there that I described it, how that they are dancing happily and whatsoever, and that I saw that I saw a skull. I mean, I describe all. I described that picture, and I described that I also saw in that picture a person in the end who used wind magic at the end of the cliff and associated it with the Antichrist, because back then what I knew is that the Antichrist will use some kind of magic or whatever to deceive the humanity and let them think that he is the Messiah, which he is not. So I associated with that with RPG games where you have some kind of intro about the world, what happened or what will happen, and what they wanted to plan, whatever. Of course, I may have also exaggerated back then. I was too overly cautious, but I always believe that it's good to be too overly cautious than to be less cautious, because if you're less cautious, then they might have you deceived with that also, if you know what I mean. I can't explain it quite very well because I'm an introvert, shut in neat, and therefore have problems communicating in general, but I hope you know what I mean. And then I listed, then all everything else that I did after that was just what I had, like that dream that I had when I was 5 years old, where I was dreaming that people dressed in black who looked like occultists stabbed a baby and gathered in a round, and for whatever reason that baby was inside a baby bed, and and after it was stabbed, I just woke up, peed on my pants. That's what I wrote, and I wrote that this kind of feels RPG like. So yeah. And then I wrote what I thought back then can be used to escape the New World Order. Of course, they also had me having fear. Therefore, did I unknowingly claim darkness, because I was having fear of the New World Order, that is. And I wrote back then that you could escape it with a tent, axe, sword, gun, shield armor, food, water, lighter to make fire, and some other stuff that is needed to survive in the wilderness for an ordinary human that was never taught how to survive in the wilderness in a natural way, without tools, or with tools that you could do or make yourself in nature. And then I wrote what not to do when you do escape it, and I wrote that mobile phones or similar should be discarded, thrown away, that personal ID cards health cards or whatever card there is that has a chip inside, that this should be discarded as well. And if you have a phone while then you have escaped, to not answer any governmental person like the police or the army or whatever of these people, or whoever of these people want to call you. And I wrote in the end that you shall never trust people and question things, because they might trap and trick you. And I said this back then, but funnily enough was also a victim of that, as you can already hear, kind of. And yeah, and I wrote a list on that webpage what our world has in common with RPG games. And I wrote that and of course that the desire of destroying the world, of having full control over everything, which both in RPG games and here can be seen. False idols, evil gods that people worship can be seen in RPG games, and here too in our firmament. I mean, it's also written in the Bible that people worship false idols made out of metal and clay and whatever. And back then I thought that everyone who wants to stop these people, they will get they get rid of them. So I wrote this also and compared it with RPG games, where sometimes the side character who wants to stop the villain gets killed, or the whole village is burned where he lives and he dies with it or whatever. And then I repeated myself that they want to harm mankind. But I wrote harm NPCs and mankind. So there's that. And I wrote also as a comparison that they want to make their own utopia, and this can be seen in RPG games, where they want to rule the world and make their own utopia. And here, where they want to make a new world order, that is, which also is a utopia that they want to do. And of course, I also used as a comparison that they use ancient monuments, that there are ancient monuments and similar that talk about the doom of this world and mention false heroes. That's what I've wrote, and in RPG games sometimes it's like that. In our world, it's I mean, the Freemason monuments, they do this with false, in quotations, heroes like Martin Luther King Jr., who is still alive, mind you. And I wrote as a next comparison that that they I hope you mind my bad English, that they want all people to obey and not to think out of the box, that is, and that black magic exists and can be used either for good or bad. And I wrote that work can be compared with it, because if you work, you're grinding money, and it's like, and it's similar in RPG games. In some RPG games, you can work to grind money and go in the outside world, defeat monsters and have money through that. And I wrote as a next comparison, that the world gets a new version, and that the old version doesn't exist anymore because it got rebooted. That's what I wrote as a comparison. And I wrote giants as a comparison. Both exists in video games and in our world. Back then I thought that glitches and lags, like bugs or whatever, that they exist in this firmament. So I wrote that as a comparison, but I nowadays do not believe clearly that stuff, and sometimes think it's either way AI or something else is going on. And yeah, that's what I wrote. That's what I all took to conclude that there's more than that. And not only that, I also wrote, no, this is, I repeat myself here. No, I don't have to read this. Yeah, that's all what I took as a comparison, to compare with RPG games and conclude that the world is more than a matrix, and that this is more like a RPG video game type of stuff. Of course, I used on this webpage a lot of curse words and wrote English in a bad way because my English was more worse than it is now. It's still worse. It's not that good. That's what I think. Because mostly I learned English through media, through music, through video games, mostly, and a little bit through school, but in school you don't have that much time to be fluent in English, that is. That's why nowadays, if I have time for it, continue to learn English in Duolingo, that is. Alright, that's that. Just wanted to explain what this was all about. And if you're interested on this webpage, I can send it to you through the DM. Maybe in Instagram, maybe on Gmail, maybe on Facebook, whatever. Alright, that's it from me, and yeah, thanks.